This landlocked country is full of wealth and beauty that few can match. Its people stereotypically have a penchant for cheese, numbered bank accounts, and punctuality. But it's also full of contradictions and the unexpected. Welcome to Switzerland!
Set in the heart of Western Europe, Switzerland is less than 1/3 the size of New York State. My journey begins in Geneva, and from there, I travel to Vevey, once home to Charlie Chaplin. I trek across the Alps from Lykerbad to Interlaken, and then head to the medieval city of Bern. You're never more than 13 miles from a lake or a river in Switzerland, and I visit Lake Lucerne. I take the train from the Gotthard Mountain Pass to Chur before reaching the finance capital of Zurich. I end my journey in Appenzell.
My journey in Geneva, which is at the heart of the French part of Switzerland. It's glitzy, it's glamorous, and it's got some serious international clout.
The Swiss speak German as well as French, but in fact, the country has 4 official languages. In addition, nearly 40% of the population are foreign residents, and it is home to the International Red Cross and the United Nations headquarters. As a politically neutral country, Switzerland is the ideal location for such international organizations. Geneva hosts one more, CERN, a giant laboratory set up to answer questions about the universe. The research facilities are all underground, but this exhibition gives visitors an introduction into the creation of the universe.
After 9 billion years, gravity will summon these realms together.
It's amazing. You feel like you're witnessing the Big Bang.
The entire universe is made up of particles, most of which are so small that they're invisible. It is the relationship these particles have with other matter that has created our world as we know it. This is what scientists at CERN hope to better understand.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, you can pick your own.
What selection of color? Are they all kind of one side?
British scientist Dave Barney has agreed to explain some of the basics for me.
So, the one thing we can't go and see today is the accelerator. It looks like this behind this wall. These blue tubes are magnets that guide the protons around in a circle. This goes on for 27 kilometers. This is why we're in the Guinness Book of Records as the world's biggest scientific instrument. So now we're going to go and see the experiment that makes use of the collisions that this thing creates.
Okay.
Like a big digital camera. So it is rather large, and it weighs about 14,000 tons.
I'm just speechless almost, because it's like right out of a sci-fi film.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even for me, I've been working here nearly 20 years. I still get a buzz coming down here and seeing this thing for real.
What does this big machine do?
This thing is a big camera. When a particle collision happens, other particles fly off in all directions. And this thing measures where the particles went, how fast they were going, what the particles were. We're trying to understand some of the basic questions about the universe. Things that, as a child, you might think of asking, things like, why are we here? What's our universe like? So if you imagine a baby coming into the world, and a baby sort of explores its surroundings to try and figure out what it's doing, where it is, what it is. We're just like bigger babies. This is about 100 megapixels, so it's only a dozen iPhones, a bit more powerful, and the reason is that it takes images 40 million times every second.
That's a lot of photos.
The reason we have to look at so many is the chances of finding something interesting is 1 in a billion billion. It's like looking for a needle in a million haystacks.
How do the experiments translate into the real world?
The technology that we developed for this is being applied in many other fields. So half of the world's particle accelerators, for example, are now used for medical physics, for either diagnosing things like cancers or even treating cancers now.
Wow.
Investigating invisible particles may require extreme diligence and accuracy. But then again, Switzerland is known for its precision. Its railway clock has become a national icon. The red second hand is shaped like a guard signaling disc, reflecting the Swiss reputation for timekeeping.
You must be punctual while you're traveling in Switzerland because the trains leave right on time.
And my train, as usual, leaves exactly on the minute. It's an hour's train journey around Lake Geneva to reach my next stop, the town of Vevey. Famed for its tranquility, Vevey is home to celebrities and Switzerland's rich. One celebrity who fell in love with the place was British comedian
Charlie Chaplin. Oh, he was actually quite short.
Controversially kicked out of America for displaying communist sympathies, Vevey caught Chaplin's eye with its grand vistas and relaxed atmosphere. It proved a much-needed contrast to his very public life in Hollywood.
It was here at Manoir de Bain where Charlie Chaplin spent the last 25 years of his life.
In contrast to his simple black and white films, by 2015, his house will be transformed into a high-tech museum as a tribute to his life. But for now, it is still as he lived in it. Museum director Anaï Cadona is going to show me around.
When he arrived here, he totally fell in love with the garden. It's surrounded by very old trees, green, and he said, well, that's the perfect place to live, now to work.
Because I see he has a study there.
He wrote his autobiography on this desk, and he also made his last films here.
So it was just work time here in Switzerland?
More important was his family, really. I can show you maybe a very important room in this house is actually the dining room.
Okay.
He really had one rule that every day at 6:30 they will meet at the dining table.
So they would all sit here?
Yes, they will all sit here. So Charlie, his wife Ona, and their 8 kids.
How old was Charlie when they married?
He was 53 years old, and Ona was 18.
18?
Yes.
That's quite an age difference.
Yes, exactly 36 years old difference.
Wow.
You can think like, yeah, that's an old guy and younger, but actually it was a real love story.
Why is it so important that we have this museum dedicated to Charlie Chaplin today?
Well, I think it's very important to have the museum because it's going to show his legacy. He inspired a lot of people because they could relate to his character, the tramp. And his whole character was actually inspired by his childhood in London, this poverty childhood, but everywhere in the world you have tough times. He made his film in the 20th century. At that time you had wars and difficulties, and it was a hard time. With his film he brought some joy and some laughing to all of that.
Everybody needs to laugh.
Everybody needs to laugh, and I think today the world needs Chaplin back.
Yeah.
Need the tramp back. We need to laugh again a bit.
There's one nibble that goes extremely well with wine, and that's something the Swiss have in abundance: cheese. I'm traveling 30 miles to the farming town of Gruyère. You can actually rent a cow in this country, And for that period, you get all the cheese made from your cow's milk. Sounds great, eh? But this is Switzerland, so there are rules. If you want Gruyere cheese, only 36 dairies are legally allowed to make it. This is the biggest, producing up to 48 wheels a day. Cheesemaster Jacques Coffey studied cheesemaking for 3 years to be even allowed in this room.
Okay.
Like timekeeping in Switzerland, cheesemaking is extremely precise. The cheesemaster alone knows the exact recipe for his cheese, and only he can say when it's ready.
It's breaking well, so that's good. Good sign.
The pressed wheels will be moved into a climatically controlled room. This is the cheese cave.
How many wheels of cheese are here right now?
7000 gruyères.
7,000 wheels of cheese. I noticed that there's different colors of cheeses here.
Alors ça, c'est des fromages très jeunes. Hein. Ils ont été fabriqués il y a une semaine environ. Ils sont tout blancs.
Oh.
Plus ils restent en cave, plus la couleur devient jaune orangé, comme ici. Ça, ce sont des fromages qui ont 1 mois.
What's the importance to let the cheese age?
Alors, ce qui est important, c'est de laisser maturer le fromage pour obtenir des goûts et des arômes plus développés, recherchés. Hein. Le fromage qui prend du goût à cause de la dégradation des protéines et de la graisse. Ah, c'est assez lourd, ça fait 35 kilos quand même.
It's 35 kilos.
On tape dessus pour écouter s'il y a des trous.
So he's listening to see if there's any holes in the cheese.
Mais on ne veut pas de trous, hein.
We don't want holes. Oh, wow.
Alors, pour commencer, je vais tester l'élasticité de la pâte.
So first he's testing the elasticity of the cheese. So I'm gonna guess 8 months. Yeah, I'm sticking to it. 8 months. 8 mois? He's laughing like I'm
3 mois.
3. Okay. Oh, you cheated! Oh, the date is on there. See? Jacques said these were worth $700. This will definitely get me through Switzerland.
Madame! Madame!
Oh, no.
Okay, so I gave it back. It might be synonymous with this country, but there's a lot more to Swiss life than just cheese. I'm heading to the mountains. Apparently, there's a party in Riederalp. Over 70% of Switzerland is mountainous, and the Swiss are keen to preserve it. In fact, they are quite particular about the environment in general. Local man Andreas Fura is no exception.
What's happening here?
There's a lot of people here to destroy these Alpen pizzas.
Alpen pizzas.
Yes,
What's
it's
an Alpen pizza?
Pizza, that is a cow shit.
Ah, so people just walk out into the pasture and just hit the dung, the Alpine pizzas?
Really?
With over 1.5 million cows in Switzerland, that's 1 cow for every 5 people. Who knows how many cow pies that makes? Oh, Andreas does.
It's 11,287 cow pats from this cottage to the next one.
Why do we need to remove these Alpine pizzas?
We have 3 reasons when you don't remove these cow pads. There's a loss of oxygen. The grass can't grow below these cow pads. And the second one, when the grass can't grow as normally, the grass is coming hard and the cows don't eat them. And the third reason is it looks the nature more tidy and more beautiful.
He's even turned it into a game. There are prizes for the most cow pies destroyed in 2 hours.
Hi.
Hello.
Is this where I sign up for the competition?
Yes, right.
Great. Sign me up?
You are alone?
Yes.
You should be 2 people.
Oh.
But it's no problem. We have Louis here. If you would like to go with him.
I would love to.
Hi, Louis.
Louis Kummer joins in every year.
So I think the trick is keep your mouth shut. while hitting the pie.
He lives in the village, so is always keen to help Andreas make it look pristine year-round.
It's like mini-putt. 64!
Hey!
97! 100!
100! Bravo! Hole in one.
Voilà, gratuliere. Das ist ungefähr so das Maß, was ich würde sagen.
How very Swiss. A party with a practical purpose. But the party's now over, and it's time for me to get serious about these mountains. Switzerland boasts some seriously impressive alpine scenery. Some of the highest mountains in Europe are here, as is Europe's longest glacier. This is prime hiking territory. The Alps divide North and South Europe, and I'm crossing over by foot. Starting in the town of Lycobad, my trek heads up the Gemmi Pass and down to Kandersteg before finally reaching Interlaken. Lycobad's thermal water has been popular since the Roman era. Sadly, I'm leaving the comfort of its thermal spas to hike up the mountain pass.
In 1863, an intrepid lady by the name of Jemima Morel went on the first guided tour of Switzerland with Thomas Cook. She kept a diary, and 150 years later, I'm following in her footsteps.
Her tour started in Geneva and took 14 days, but I'm just doing this small section of it. Didier Plachier works for the cultural roots of Switzerland and is going to be my modern-day Thomas Cook.
Oh!
Oh, hi. You must be Rihanna.
Yes. Are ladders the only way up?
Well, they used to be, but today we're going a much more modern way, which is easier to go, and it's on the other side. I'll show you. Just follow me.
At least I didn't have a corset on like she did.
Mountain passes used to be like this one, limited to travel by foot and only used by the inhabitants of the surrounding villages. Back in 1863, the British travelers set off on the ascent, following a steep mule trail up the seemingly impassable Dalbenvan cliffs.
So just a leisurely stroll in Switzerland.
That's right.
It's an uphill trek of about 5 kilometers to reach the top of the pass.
What Jemima would have thought about all of this, climbing up here.
Well, Jemima, when she was standing at the bottom of the wall, looking up, it's going right straight up, vertically, she was quite scared, I guess. She wrote down in her diary, she was thinking about the end of times.
150 years ago, Miss Jemima wrote, "The awful power of those beetling walls made one tremble as they irresistibly forced upon the mind thoughts of the end and the upheaval of all things." Alcoholism had become a major problem throughout England, and Thomas Cook felt that the mountain air and outdoor adventure might cure people of this evil disease.
So that's pretty much it. Ascen's done.
We made it.
You've done great.
We may have reached the top, but it's still another 5 kilometers before we get to the historic Schwarenbach Hotel for the night.
It's all downhill from now.
A hotel that's only accessible by foot.
Here we are.
Finally.
Well, that grueling hike calls for an early night before the trials of day 2 begin. The second leg of our journey, following in Miss Jemima's footsteps, is a 10-kilometer hike to Kandersteg, from where I travel to Interlaken. This is where I cross from the French-speaking part of Switzerland to the German. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine hiking in full Victorian garb.
Oh, me neither. That must have been a nightmare, having these really heavy clothes.
Women would have had just 2 dresses with them. One for Sunday best and one for hiking in. Thankfully, modern times call for modern clothes. While Britain was pioneering adventure travel, Switzerland was still just a bunch of farmers who were fascinated by these foreigners and utterly bewildered by their desire to walk through the rough Swiss mountains.
Grüß dich.
Grüß dich.
That's what Bernese people say, grüß dich.
For good morning, Grüß dich.
Grüß dich? That was perfect.
Miss Jemima's tour was actually Thomas Cook's scouting trip. It was an instant success, and the group tour was invented. I don't know about group tours, but that hike was great. My feet, however, think otherwise. And so, like Miss Jemima, my journey continues by road from Kandersteg to Interlaken. Located between 2 magnificent lakes, Interlaken is surrounded by some of Switzerland's most famous mountains, the Jungfrau, Eiger, and the Munch.
At the beginning of the 19th century, Interlaken had become known for its beautiful scenery. Nowadays, it's known for its paragliding and adventure sports.
Adrenaline-fueled activities don't really do it for me after a tough hike. Instead, I've managed to get a part in a play at the open-air theater here in Interlaken. This is the story of local legend William Tell.
Everybody knows the story about William Tell and his heroics and mastery of the crossbow, and how he shot an arrow through an apple that was perched upon his son's head. To be honest, I'm not so heroic. I'm nervous about being a part of the performance tonight.
Luckily, fellow actor Nicole DeVec is here to guide me through my role.
Okay.
So, here we go.
You're nervous?
I'm a little nervous.
So now we
have live horses?
Yeah, but they don't bite.
Hard. Oh, everyone's all dressed up. So do I get to be dressed up
Yes.
too? Thank you. Oh, wow. So why is the story of William Tell so important for Switzerland?
It's more because that's how Switzerland starts. They want to help each other against the people from Austria.
In 1291, several cantons joined together to defend themselves against imperial rule. This loose federation eventually became Switzerland, named after one of the original cantons, Schwyz.
You have now like 15 minutes to learn this little part. Ist zerschmettert?
Say that one more time.
Ist zerschmettert?
Ist zerschmettert?
Ja. Ist zerschmettert?
Ist zerschmettert?
Rennet, rettet, helft.
Rennet, rettet, helft.
Okay, do you know what that means?
Nope.
Ist zerschmettert? Is he really dead? And then running, help him.
Oh, I can't screw this up. This is a pivotal part. It's showtime! Showtime! The show must go on!
With over 100 people on stage and 2,000 in the audience, this is no normal production. Life revolved around farming, and people were content until they came under an oppressive Austrian ruler. Hermann Gessler was a man of brutal nature and tyrannical disposition. The provinces refused to bow before the Austrians' rule, or his hat, which was symbolically placed on the pole to represent Gessler's power. They fought back, and one man in the thick of it all was William Tell. Punished for not bowing before the hat, Tell was forced to shoot an apple off his son's head. He took aim and fired. Piercing the apple, his son was safe. Though modern-day health and safety regulations forbid him to shoot for real. Sadly, my German was so bad, my only line was taken off me. Probably for the best. It was a huge success. I'm so grateful I was invited to be a part of it. The next stop on my journey is the capital city of Bern and its surroundings. The city's medieval center is so well preserved that it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. It has remained largely unchanged since the 15th century. The Bernese loved to add a bit of color and painted fountains, bringing a vibrancy to Bern's medieval streets, even on a stormy day.
If you get thirsty here in Bern, you can just take a swig of water right here from the child leader fountain. That's right, the child leader fountain. It's filtered glacier water. I hear it goes divine with roasted toddler.
From 1902 to 1909, Bern was home to the renowned physicist Albert Einstein. This clock tower used to be the western gate for the city of Bern, and it is said that it helped Einstein come up with his theory of relativity, E equals mc squared. This theory changed our understanding of time, space, and the universe, and the Einstein Museum in town is the place to find out more. Museum director Dr. Jakob Messerli is going to show me around.
He was a rather lonely boy. He had problems, to socialize. You see that in this picture here, that's a school class. So take a guess, who's Albert Einstein on this picture? Can you find him?
Maybe this one? Just because he looks like he's got a little smirk and everybody else looks so grumpy.
Exactly, that's Albert Einstein at the age of 10.
But then how did he become the scientific genius that he is?
He started in 1896 at the Swiss Polytechnic in Zurich. He studied physics. Electrotechnics was the new technology. He was a pretty good student, and he got a job, not in academics, but at the Swiss patent office in Bern. There he was a technical clerk. He really was dealing with practical stuff. When he would have gone directly into an academic career, he would have never developed the theory of relativity, but he had enough time to think new ways which were really off the beaten path. And it was here in Bern where he developed the theory of relativity, which he published then in 1905.
So many different aspects to his life in this museum.
Yes, sure. You have here a picture of Hiroshima after the drop of the bomb. But Albert Einstein was considered as the father of the nuclear bomb, but that's absolutely, you cannot say that. Albert Einstein was not even allowed to participate. He was a European, he was a Jew, he was a non-conformist, so he was considered as a safety risk.
So what does E equals mc squared have to do with the atomic bomb?
Obviously, the findings of theoretical physics did allow the further development of physics. Nobody would have said Albert Einstein is the father of the cell phone. But the cell phone technology would not be possible without this physical development of which he was part of.
was this theoretical physics that earned Einstein the Nobel Prize in 1921. After all that physics, I'm up for a bit of fun. Luckily, it seems that everyone here is on the same wavelength. This parade is celebrating all things Swiss, from their farming to their music. But one thing they are really proud of is their army. And here in Switzerland, bicycles are still in use. With bicycle troops themselves now phased out, the historic cyclist company are keen to keep their heritage alive. Their motto, once a cyclist, always a cyclist.
I don't get it, though. I want to know more. Hello. Hi.
Hey. Cyclist Roger Hubadner has stopped off to give me a quick lowdown.
If I was in combat, I feel like I would feel really vulnerable on a bike. Are you vulnerable on a bike?
Actually, the biggest advantage of these bicycles are that you can move faster than in a regular infantry group, and it's very noiseless.
The kickstand makes the bike go up like that. Why does it do that?
Yeah, that's you have to take this off, and another colleague of mine has got the machine gun. Then you have to put the machine gun on this object here, and then you're ready.
So you would stop pedaling to use the machine gun?
Yes, then take it off. Put the machine gun on it. Yes.
Are you still in combat on these?
No, we are not active anymore. The Swiss Army stopped this in 2005.
So is it mandatory that people are part of the military here in Switzerland?
For men it's mandatory and free for women.
Oh, how many years?
I could tell you more, but I would have to kill you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I could defend myself. I have a Swiss.
Listen, young lady.
Swiss Army. Oh,
this is a knife, and now I think I gotta go. Bye-bye.
Sure told him.
In keeping with my army theme, I'm heading to Lucerne, where I catch a boat across the lake to a military fortress in Witznau. Lake Lucerne, serenity exemplified. Yet, that's not quite true. It's as if the Swiss can think of nothing worse than not being prepared if anything bad were to happen. But one thing Switzerland was not prepared for was World War II. Compared to thousands of tanks Hitler had, Switzerland had just 6.
Over 150 fortresses were built in Switzerland, many of them around this lake, and one of them is across it in Witznau.
Defense was everything, and Fortress Witznau was a key player.
It was a well-kept secret for many decades, always ready for battle. But it was retired for military service in 1998.
Okay.
Hi.
Welcome to the Fortress of Witznau.
Thank you.
Wow. You can now visit the fortress and even stay the night. Piers Zimmerman has arranged for me to do just that.
Okay. And here we have all these different type of grenades. As you can see, this one here, because it's white, it is a smoke or fog grenade. And then we have the most dangerous one, is the steel grenade.
And the steel grenades, is that because it has
that
shrapnel?
explodes. Would you like to hold one like this?
Okay.
Are you not afraid?
I guess not.
Don't drop it.
Okay.
You become an angel if you drop it, all right? Here we go. All right.
I thought I was already an angel.
Hold it.
Wow.
Okay. Altogether this, it becomes a weight of 30 kilograms.
There seems to be a lot of grenades in here.
We did hold in here during the last World War 10,000 of these different type of grenades in here.
Did you actually shoot any?
Yes, we did shoot.
You're a neutral country and you were never invaded. Why did you shoot
the grenades?
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, I would say we had tried to protect ourselves even though we are neutral. Okay. And that's why we built all these big fortresses, because we would want to make sure the enemy would not come in to Switzerland.
There are miles of tunnels threading their way through the mountain to restricted areas such as observation stations, armories, and even the cannons themselves.
So does this still work?
It still works today.
But how do you aim?
To put the shell up and down of the cannon.
With these massive defenses on hand, nothing's going to stop me from getting a good night's sleep.
All right, here we have all these beds, and you can choose from which one you would like to have. 1, 2. Isn't that nice?
It is very nice.
Too many of them?
Just me. I'm just.
Oh,
just
well,
me.
don't worry about it. We'll send you a few fellows along.
Having company didn't really appeal, so Pius gave me this more luxurious room instead, once belonging to the commander. I'm traveling 40 miles south through Schollenen Gorge to the top of the Gotthard Pass. The Schollenen Gorge was the biggest obstacle to crossing the Gotthard Pass and a massive challenge to people living in this area. Its wild river meant that the wooden bridges built before the 16th century were often washed away. According to legend, the local people became desperate and one man shouted, "The devil himself shall build a bridge here." And build a bridge he did. No one knows better how big a role superstition played than local historian Bain Simon.
What made them believe in the devil?
Yeah, the devil was an explanation of the powers that you find in this canyon, you know, because they couldn't understand how and why weather changes so fast, by winds, by weather, by the noise of the river, by the cold air, you know. So it became the Devil's Canyon in a way of the church created this devil to control areas which were not inhabited, to make sure nobody lives there before the church.
The Catholic Church might have ruled the area at the time, but they failed to stop the people moving in, and by the 19th century, the bridge was even open to traffic.
With the construction of this bridge, everything went better, and still today it is the most direct connection between north and south.
It must have also cut off a lot of time to get anywhere.
Of course, you know, before the bridge, it took 7 to 10 days to connect Lucerne to Lugano. This bridge was built around 1830. They cut down the time down to 24 hours on the express horse coach. Today from Lugano to Lucerne, you can cover this in less than 2 hours.
So thank you to the devil.
Thanks to the devil, yeah.
11 miles away is the pinnacle of the Gotthard Pass, and at 2,108 meters, it was once thought to be the highest pass in the Alps. From the stagecoaches slowly weaving their way over its granite peaks to modern-day cars and bikes, the last 100 years have become known as the era of mobility across the King of Passes. This train takes me from Andermatt to the Romance city of Chur. This is the Glacier Express. It may be the slowest express train in the world, but that just gives me more time to appreciate the scenery.
One way to save money in Switzerland is to bring your own water bottle and fill up at any fountain that you find along the streets. It's clean, it's drinkable, it's safe. Always shop in supermarkets. Beer is cheap. I'd suggest staying at hostels where normally you get a free breakfast, and yogurt. If you don't like yogurt, learn to like it.
He's not joking. The average Swiss person eats 18.2 kilograms of yogurt each year. That's a whole lot of yogurt. The Romans arrived in the area in 15 BC, and Romansh, a derivative of Roman, is now the country's fourth official language. Chur was the capital of their territory.
In 1464, much of the city burnt down in a massive fire, but then the Germans came in and rebuilt it. Unfortunately, because of this, a lot of the Romansh culture has faded.
The Romansh inhabitants realized they needed to learn German and the new culture in order to get work. Most of them now live in the surrounding areas. The penultimate stop on my journey is the largest city in Switzerland, Zurich. With a population of 1.9 million and the city drawing international labels and luxury brands, having money is essential here. Known for their complete confidentiality, Switzerland's banks have often been linked to illegal activities. Even Hitler strolled his ill-gotten finances here. But these days, banks are being forced to give up their secrets. All except, of course, where their vaults actually are. Finance investigator David Laufer is going to give me a bit more insight into the secretive world of Swiss banking.
Secrets and safety.
Secrets and safety, yes. That's what Swiss banking has been all about. What makes it special in Switzerland is that in 1934, it was written in the law that if you breach this secrecy, it becomes criminal. You could practically in the past walk into a bank with a suitcase full of cash, give a fake name, not even sign any paper, only you and the banker in front of you knew what the nature of the deal was.
And is it still that way today?
It's changed in the past few years due to international pressure.
So what makes Swiss banking so special now?
The main selling point is institutional stability. That is, you come to Switzerland, you put your money here from wherever you are. You know that within 20, 30, 40 years, you come back here, your money's still there.
These deposit boxes have held people's money safely for decades. With many keys missing, they could still hold unclaimed assets. And that's what David deals with. Banks ask him to trace the beneficiaries of this money.
How difficult is it to find one of these beneficiaries?
It's sometimes very difficult. I'm bringing up family history. I'm digging up secrets that the person didn't know. And quite often it's about, your father had a bank account in Switzerland with lots of money on it. And that says one thing. My father lied to me. He had a double life. So sometimes people react in a way that you can perfectly see that they're very wounded. And the money issue comes way after.
Quite telling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the story of how people make money worldwide. There's this old say, money doesn't make you necessarily happy. Well, that really rings very true in my business.
This bank vault is soon to be auctioned off to help fund a new social initiative, ensuring everyone in Switzerland is paid a minimum wage. Something I'm sure the people of Zurich will appreciate. Stop is the traditional Swiss canton of Appenzell. Well known among the Swiss as the most traditional area in the country, Appenzell's inhabitants remain astoundingly true to their roots. Yodeling to the rhythmic swinging of these giant cowbells heralds the start to Appenzell's cattle drive. everything about this is true to their heritage, from the traditional clothes to the ornately painted milking pail carried over the left shoulder, no less. This ritual is a real source of pride for the herdsmen.
It's end of summer here, and what's happening is all the farmers are taking their cattle and livestock from the alpine pastures down to warmer pastures.
It's a full 5 to 7 hour walk from one pasture to another, depending on how energetic the cows are feeling. Today, 3 separate herds are on the move, and they're certainly pretty speedy, which seems to be causing a few problems.
They're trying to separate the cows because the herds got mixed.
But everyone's working hard, and order is soon restored. Just as well, we've arrived in town.
Well, it's the end of summer here in Switzerland. It's also the end of my trip. But it's been such an awakening experience because it's shown me just how important tradition is. Even things like yodeling are just as important as high-pressure banking or cutting-edge technology. Politically, Switzerland is neutral, but my feelings are anything but. I love it here.